Well, hello, everybody out there in internet land. I am ecstatic to see everybody here. Thank you so much for tuning in to this special. This is going to be a very special Self-Publishing Insiders Live with Draft to Digital. I'm looking forward to talking to our guest, but a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. First up, make sure you drop your questions in the comments, because even if we don't answer them on air, we've got people in the comments who can answer those for you. So we will take care of you. And if you're watching or listening to this after the fact, same rules apply. If you drop a comment, someone will eventually notice that and get back to you. Also, in this episode, what I need everyone to do is hang around. At the end of this episode, we're going to have a very special announcement. I find it very special. I hope you'll find it very special too. And I can't wait to share that news with you. And all that out of the way, now we get to introduce one of my favorite people, someone I go way back with in this business, Monica Leonelle. Monica, thank you for being on SPI.
Thank you so much for having me. It's crazy. I haven't been on this show, and I was just so grateful to get the invitation. So
I think it's a travesty that you haven't already been on this show. We should have gotten you on a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's an oversight on my part as well.
Oh, I doubt that. But you and I were just talking about this before the show started, and I'm sorry. I bring this up almost every time we see each other these days, but you and I first met thanks to the guys who used to run the self-publishing podcast, and they were the ones who put on the Smarter Artist Summit. But you and I met before there was a Smarter Artist Summit and I think it was called the Colonist Summit. Was that right?
The Colonist Summit, yes. They had kind of a small, I think it was like a 24-person mastermind.
Yeah.
Before that, like probably a year before Smarter Artist, and that's when we met. And like Damon was there from BookFunnel, and just a number of other people who have become really key players in the industry, I think.
Isn't that interesting? Like all of us, I don't know if any of us sitting in that room really envisioned where we would be at this point, like 8 years later. But what an interesting group. BookFunnel was born in that room.
It was. I think about that a lot.
Me too.
Especially just, we both work in essentially like the wide part of publishing.
Yeah.
I think. And so like, I think of BookFunnel, and it was kind of the first, well, not the first company, but one of the first companies that helped the wide side of publishing really start to grow and flourish. So
if only we had known. If only we had a clue. I would have been throwing money at Damon that day. I actually remember kind of going at him and like, look, I know you're working on this other thing, but what you should work on is this thing with me, and we're going to build the Scrivener killer, and we're going to make this thing. And he was like, yeah, that sounds pretty okay, but I think I'm going to stick with this.
His intuition for software and business is just killer. He just has killer instincts.
Well, what a great segue then into today's topic, because we're going to be talking about the future of publishing. And I think I'm probably just not very qualified to talk about the future of publishing. I think I'm stuck in the present all the time. But you've got your fingers on the pulse of the future of publishing, Monica.
Yeah, I mean, you always hope so, but obviously it's very difficult to predict the future. But I think what I like to do is just stack evidence from the past to see like where we're going. So one of those things, I mean, I think, this specifically is about like, where does wide fit in to the future of publishing? And to me, I mean, I think that for so long in this industry, the conversation, like all the conversations about sales and marketing and everything, they revolved around Amazon. And I want to say Amazon is a great company. It gave basically every author, every independent author in the world their career. So I want to say that I love Amazon. I think Amazon is great. And so much of the conversation was around that for years and years, as you know, working for Draft to Digital and trying to kind of educate people on wide. And, I'm coming at it from an author perspective, trying to educate people on wide. And it's been, it's been like years and years of pounding the pavement before really anything started happening, or people, before authors were excited about wide. But I think when you look at the future of publishing now, especially for English, English language writers, especially for people who live in English, primarily English language speaking countries or countries with large English markets like US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. A lot of the newer opportunities to grow your business are not actually on Amazon at the
Yeah.
moment. And I think that is a turning point in this industry, and why wide and also, to some extent direct sales. I think direct sales is a very hot topic right now, but
Yeah.
why those two things are kind of the foundation of what the future of publishing looks like.
Yeah.
Because the opportunities, so Amazon has really grown in most of those markets that I mentioned to the extent that it can. They've grown their e-commerce base, and the way an e-commerce company grows is, well, one of the ways, there's like 5 different ways. One is like through credit cards,
Yeah.
credit card financing, but one of those ways is through cheap and affordable digital products. And so
Right.
Amazon has really used that playbook with books, with music, and some other, videos and television and stuff like that. And really, at this point, that is a pretty established market, like especially here in the US. They've kind of accumulated as much of the user base as they can using books. So at this point, they're turning to other countries for that growth. And so to me, one of the primary examples of this is something that happened maybe a year or 2 ago, where they changed the bonus structure of KU, of Kindle Unlimited. And what they did is they expanded it to other countries. Like before, I think it was mostly US, UK. Like it was very like focused on English language countries. So they expanded it to multiple countries. They also took away the author bonuses, because author bonuses favor large catalogs. So it favors the author who can get 4 million page reads. They took that away, and they focused it on titles instead. So a single book title. And what that indicates is that they're trying to attract authors from who are writing in other languages besides English, and who are in these countries that Amazon needs to grow in. And they're looking for newer authors as well, because it's a single title bonus rather than established authors. And so when I started to see that, and again, I think it was 2022, like early 2022 when this happened, that was when it hit me that, okay, Amazon's strategy is changing in terms of how they're going to be using Kindle Unlimited to grow their user base. And it makes sense. They've already grown their user base to the extent that they can in these countries. So now they're moving on to other countries where there's opportunity for them to grow their user base. And books are a part of that strategy, as are a handful of other things. And so seeing that marker kind of showed me and others in this industry that hey, the opportunities at Amazon for us, for English speaking or English writing authors, are not as strong anymore. And so moving to other platforms. In contrast, I think a lot of the other platforms, the wide platforms, so I always think of it as the big 5, which is Kobo, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and Apple Books, in addition to Amazon. Amazon's the 5th one. But those other retailers, they are growing. And you can see that there's indication there too. The way in which they're growing, also just their attendance at conferences, for example, which shows that the companies are investing in them. But I think one of the reasons that they're growing is because the audiobook market is an opportunity for them. They kind of lost the ebook wars for the most part. Like everybody kind of went to Amazon, but with audiobooks, Audible holds, I think, 60% of the market. The other wide retailers hold, and other like Storytel and other subscriptions, they hold the other 40% of the market. And I think that is a big reason why those retailers started investing in indie authors again. And then I think they are really growing their indie author base. And every time I talk to a retailer, they say the same thing. So
yeah, that's it's interesting because that I think you're taking the approach we've all taken, really, that where Amazon goes, so goes the rest of the industry. Are there things beyond what you've just kind of detailed for us? Like, what are you seeing outside of Amazon that indicates trends? And you brought up direct sales, and that is definitely something that's on everyone's mind right now.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I think there are, so Drafted Digital distributes to so many places besides the big five. Distributes to libraries, of course, like probably, to me, the best way to get to libraries right now is probably through Drafted Digital. And I think the other retailers are also, they're also looking at these other countries and hoping to grow on these other countries, or hoping to hold their place on these other countries. So I think Kobo, for example, has a strong foothold in many countries, and they want to hold on to that. I think, like especially in Canada, for example, and so they're, like kind of all the retailers are doing that. I also think that Apple and Google, they definitely have, they have a huge advantage with the cell phone market, and like the in-home device market. And, so they have a huge advantage, and that advantage extends to audiobooks, especially, I think. So those are a couple of things when it comes to wide. When it comes to direct, oh my gosh, there's so many other platforms that are trying to kind of get in on that game, or that authors are trying to now use. And I think they span across basically 4 different areas. One is website sales, one is live events and signings, one is like crowdfunding, like Kickstarter, and one is subscriptions, so like Patreon or Ream. So like all of those to me encompass direct sales, which is just sales off of retailers, not retailer sales, just everything else, kind of sales directly to the consumer. And those are all also opportunities. So when you look at the scope of, what is the future of publishing, it's like 5 years ago, the future of publishing was Amazon.
Right.
Like that's what it was. That was the platform that, 90% of authors were making like 80% of their money from.
Right.
Or if not 100% of their money. And now when you look at the scope of the industry in terms of platforms, there are 20 to 30 different platforms that you as an author can take advantage of now, and try to start to kind of chip away or like add a revenue stream on. And so that, I think, is a massive change. I think, like one thing, so we have a conference, my business partner and I, Russell Nolte, we have a conference called the Future of Publishing Mastermind that's coming up in February. And one of the things we noticed is just how important vendors are to conferences now. So like we saw this at 20 Books, even just a couple years ago. 20 Books had like 20 to 30 vendors. And this year they probably have 60 to 70 vendors, maybe 75 vendors, maybe even 100 vendors. And I know Drafted Digital is a vendor. We're a vendor. But it's like, just that level of growth of vendors in the industry has really increased. And you see companies like Kickstarter sending a vendor when, Kickstarter did not Kickstarter was not a vendor of 20 Books, like even just a couple years ago. You see like all these companies saying like, hey, independent authors, it's not this cottage industry anymore. And it's not this Amazon focused industry anymore. It's actually something that we should be paying attention to. And like Kickstarter's, it's a larger tech company, but they're saying like, hey, let's focus on this. Google Play Books is a massive tech company, obviously, but the last couple of years, they've been sending vendors to all of these conferences and really investing in their platform for indie for independent authors for, and I'm sure they work with TradPub as well. And,
Yeah.
but it's like,
maybe
yeah,
not as directly though, because I
right.
mean, that's the problem with working with traditional publishing is that there's several layers between you and the authors are the ones who are going to benefit most and utilize tools like Kickstarter most,
Right.
They don't have legal departments that are demanding that they don't get involved with things.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like there's this opportunity for their platform to grow in the independent author space, and they're paying attention. And I think that is a great indicator of where the future of publishing is going.
I think you're right.
So even though we can't really predict the future, we can look at these markers and see like, okay, the future of publishing is actually a lot of different platforms, a lot of different avenues for revenue. And I think it's a great thing for independent authors because it means that so many of us can kind of forge our own path. Whereas before, if you didn't really fit into Amazon's business model, you either needed to change what you were writing and publishing in order to do so, and to like kind of respond to their ever-changing algorithms,
right?
And what worked on Amazon, or your career didn't really take off. It didn't really work. And so now it's like with all these opportunities, like there are authors who are seeing their best months on Apple Books now, or authors who are succeeding on Barnes & Noble. And like, that's where they get the bulk of their revenue for their company. And authors who are succeeding on Kickstarter or Ream or Patreon or events or wherever. And so you just see more independent authors who are able to actually kind of string together the career that they want. And I think write the books that they want as well, or like capitalize on their back catalog or whatever it might be. So that's
it's a much
exciting.
more, it feels like we're much more empowered now as an industry. And it is interesting to watch, like the things that happened with the publishing industry are now starting to happen with every other industry that authors touch. Once we discover an industry, we sort of become like a cornerstone of those businesses. That's very interesting to see play out. Authors don't get a lot of respect in the world.
No. Yeah, I mean, I think it's content creators in general, right? And I think, we're lucky in that we've been able to watch a lot of this happen in the music industry first, I think, because the music industry is able to put out these pieces of content really quickly. Like a 3 to 4 minute song is like, you probably write that in a couple days, write and record in a couple days. Whereas a book, most of us do not write a book in a few days. I think probably maybe both of us have tried at some point, but like, it's not a typical thing that you can do and sustain. But, and music is so portable as well. And it's so easy to like sample, like to listen to like a song and decide if you like an artist. But it's also it's very ephemeral because the time you invest in a song is so little. The time you invest in a book is so huge. And so so there are differences with the music industry, but we also see similarities that I think can cross over into books and audiobooks and some of our other formats. But I think books and music are kind of a cornerstone of a lot of these companies that are, especially when they're trying to grow their user base.
Right. Pardon me. So we actually have a question for you.
All right.
From Big Philly asks, is there evidence non-Amazon ebook readers are hungry for certain genres, now mainly in KU? Are there big opportunities to meet market needs wide?
Yeah, this is a question that I see a lot. And the way I often see it is my genre. Like if you look at the top 100 of my genre on Amazon, all the books are in KU. And thus, like the market for my genre is KU. And I just want to kind of dispel that myth first, which is just that, I mean, like the bestseller lists on Amazon are actually designed to favor KU books. So it's not a causation, it's a correlation, because every time a book is borrowed, it adds to your sales rank. And the bestseller list is based on sales rank. So you're not going to find a lot of wide books on a bestseller list on Amazon just in general, unless it's like Harry Potter or like
Yeah.
Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
So then the question then is like, are there markets wide that are not on Amazon? I would not say that there are necessarily. There are definitely markets that, I think like a good example would be like anything that's more of like a web novel or a light novel, K-pop, like stuff like that. It is going to have, like a lot of the readers are going to be more in like the Asia Pacific markets. So like it obviously that originated in South Korea and then spread to Japan and so like there are certainly companies that and retailers that serve those markets better and that also understand those markets better. So like Google Play, for example, has really kind of doubled down on series.
Yeah.
On their store. And the reason why is because they actually test almost everything they're doing in South Korea and Japan first. So they'll like roll out a new thing in those countries to do a test of that. And then they may eventually roll it out in the US. And so you'll see like series come out in the US, but it's been out in South Korea and Japan before that. And so you'll see stuff like graphic novels and web novels and webtoons and all that is those are read very much through serialization is kind of the model. And so that's why Google Play Books is kind of able to serve those readers a little bit better. And so you can see some of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say like if it's popular on Amazon, there are readers for it on other platforms, almost certainly.
Yeah.
And there are authors who are doing well with those genres.
Little more challenging.
A little bit more challenging.
You have tips for people to do a little better? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean,
strategies.
Definitely lots of tips. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, you're not, unless you're doing Kobo Plus, which is really the only other major subscription, reader service out there and audiobook listening service out there. So Kobo Plus is kind of a combo of the two versus KU, Kindle Unlimited plus Audible membership on Amazon. So aside from that, a lot of what you have to shift is like you're not trying to get someone to read the book, you're trying to get someone to buy the book. And that is a pretty big mindset shift in terms of how you would market. And it kind of makes sense that the marketing for those would be very different because you are trying to, you're trying to get people in a sales funnel in a very different way on the wide retailers and also on Amazon. So even your Amazon marketing would change as you shift that perspective. So, I mean, specifically, it's a little bit tough. I mean, I think because each retailer has really different algorithms and really different products as well. So I think the first step is, put your books out on all the retailers, which I think, Drafted Digital is a great tool for. But then I think the next step is probably choose one of the retailers and try to optimize your books at that retailer because each retailer has, its own algorithms that are not going to be the same as Amazon's. And learning those algorithms, knowing those algorithms is going to help you. The resources that I love I love Wide for the Win. I am also a board member of Wide for the Win, but it's truly like one of the best resources on the planet for learning different techniques for retailers. So I love that group. I have a series called Book Sales Supercharged that goes through, there's actually a book for each of the retailers. So there's a book about Apple Books. There's a book about Kobo. There's a book about Google Play books. And so if you pick, if you're saying like, okay, I want to do Apple Books, then you can read that book and kind of find all the optimization tips for that particular storefront.
That's excellent. And people can find that on your website.
Yeah, they're on my website. They're also on Amazon right now.
Okay.
And they are going to the other retailers. I just have not gotten them all up
It
there.
would be the height of irony if they didn't go wide.
It would.
Uh,
It would.
so we have there's some more questions here. This one's interesting. Will the antitrust case against Amazon allow other markets to come in and challenge Amazon's reign of ebook sales? What do you think?
What antitrust case is that? I'm assuming they're
There's
talking
so
about
many.
the Audible
They
one.
may, they may not. Yeah, let's just say current antitrust case.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't been following it closely. I do think. I mean, I think that competition is already challenging Amazon.
Yeah.
I know that for the other retailers, at least when I've spoken to them, many of the reps have said like, "Hey, we're actually growing our indie author base."
Yeah.
So like more independent authors are joining us every day and getting their books onto the retailers. So I know more authors are either moving from the Kindle Unlimited system to a wider strategy,
Mhm.
or more authors are coming into the system just in general. And like I think both are true, but it's like there is actually growth on the wide front. I also think some of that growth, and probably more and more of that growth over time, is going to be driven by the trends in direct sales. So once you do direct sales, honestly, direct sales is a lot easier when you're not in exclusivity. My business partner and I, we've done a lot of work on Kickstarter in particular, and we saw this just kind of over and over again, that people who were doing a Kickstarter on wide books were just raising more money.
Yeah.
They were just raising, and it was significant more money, versus if they were not doing that, then it was, their campaigns were funding lower.
Mhm.
And all of that's great. Like I think direct is great for whether you're wide or whether you're KU. It's all like addition, basically,
Yeah.
additive to your business strategy. But we do see people who just, if you're wide, it's just direct sales is just that much easier.
Yeah. Here's a question. I think you may have answered this at least in part previously, but when it comes to tips and strategies, would these be different based on a person's author ecosystem?
Oh man, that's a yeah. So we haven't even talked about author ecosystems. So yeah, that is another piece. We Russell and I have been examining, the wide conversation, the direct sales conversation, and just studying our data. And what we found was that there are 5 different archetypes for sales and marketing specifically in the author space, and these archetypes actually translate to other industries as well, but specifically for the author space. So what we did is we put them into 5 biomes or author ecosystems.
Yeah.
We have desert, grassland, tundra, forest, and aquatic. And so for each of those different systems, they actually take different approaches to sales and marketing, and also even different approaches to right to market. So right now in the industry, a lot of people talk about right to market, and there's really like this one way to do right to market, but we actually believe there are 5 ways, and it's based on the 5 ecosystems. And so what we've been helping people do, because there are so many different opportunities, like you can't do them all. You can't be on 20 to 30 different platforms, but because there's so many different opportunities, we've been saying like, hey, let's figure out which of these opportunities are right for you. And here's what we think could be based on, the types of books that you're writing and your author ecosystem. It's author ecosystems. It really just helps you understand like what marketing and sales is going to work better for you, specific strategies. Because I think that's another big piece of future of publishing is like, you can't do it all. You have to forge your own path. How do you forge your own path? Because before it's like, I could give you the playbook for succeeding as an author because it was all Amazon. I could give you, here's the sales and marketing that's going to work on Amazon. And that's been largely what has been taught for years and years. And so people are, kind of unteaching themselves that. And then also people who were never able to make that work for them are looking for new strategies.
Yeah. I leaned over because there was a question, and I'm going to help you with the answer.
All right.
But Beth asks, Monica, where can I learn more about author ecosystems? I have not heard of this term before. And you may have other research sources, but in this month's Indie Author Magazine, there's an entire write-up that Monica and did. Let's see, I don't know what page it starts on, but it's in there. It's in this episode, this issue. Go find this issue. Where else can they find it?
So Indie Author Magazine is great. Shel Honecker and Alice Briggs run that, and it's the October issue. What's your author ecosystem? So definitely grab that. The digital copies are free. We actually, the magazine it was at Inc. It'll also be at 20 Books. So if you're coming to 20 Books, you can get a free copy in person. So thank you for that segue. The other place is authorecosystem.com. So go to authorecosystem.com and you can take our quiz on author ecosystems, and then it kind of gives you more information about your different author ecosystems, or different author ecosystem, I should say.
We got go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Oh,
I was just going to say, this issue has a lot of really interesting stuff in it, including a quote from our own Dan Wood.
Yes.
We're talking about the future of publishing in this
very
issue.
Yes, the issue is about future of publishing. It has the author ecosystem stuff, and then it also has 25 plus people from the industry who are just giving their takes on future of publishing. And Dan Wood was one of the people interviewed. So I believe
nobody asked me.
Oh, yes, but I'm sure you have some fun things coming up with IAM. But
yes.
Yeah, so we talked to some wide people, some direct sales people, So Dan Wood, Mark Lefebvre, I believe they were both in it. We talked to some other people who were in transmedia. So it's a really great issue. They did an amazing job on it, and Russell and I were contributing editors.
And Alyssa has shared the link to it in the comments. indieauthormagazine.com. Go check that out. This was a good one. I did actually read this one. I usually ignore it. Don't tell Shel, but I ignore it. I'm just kidding. I don't ignore anything. All right. So we're kind of, because of our special announcement coming up, we're kind of coming to the artificial end of this week's episode. But Monica, where can people find more about you and the future of publishing?
Yes. So if you are interested in the future of publishing, it's at futureofpublishingmastermind.com. The other place I would go is authorecosystem.com. That's where you can take the quiz about what we've been talking about. I'm on social media. So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Substack. I have a Substack called Author Analyst, authoranalyst.substack.com. And I talk a lot about future publishing and author ecosystems and wide and direct sales on there. So
excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're kind of getting a little shortchanged, but I know you don't mind.
No, I said my piece. I made my arguments about the future of publishing and where I think it's going. So
I can tell you this, and I can tell you this to the benefit of everyone watching and listening. Monica, you really, truly are one of my favorite people. I'm very grateful that you came and spent this time with us. And I can't wait to see you. I know you're not going to be at 20 Books this year for reasons. Do you want to tell? I don't know if you're.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I'm 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
So I'll be having a little baby.
Yeah. And she's going to call that baby 20 Books Vegas. 20 Books Vegas, Leonelle, right? All right. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on the incoming author, and thank you for being our Sherpa into the future of publishing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Okay. Now she's going to be removed from the video, but not forgotten. So thank you again, Monica. Take care. And now, everyone. So I've seen a lot of cool guesses. I kind of want to go through some of them because some of them were kind of funny. Let's see. The first was, well, not the first, but let's see. Big Philly keeps making some interesting guesses. This one was funny. Monica's taking a job with D2D. No, that's not quite it. Sorry. D2D is launching AI foreign language translation. Sorry, that's not it either. That does sound interesting. We're taking notes on all these, by the way. Big Philly made all the guesses. That we're writing software with the site, within the site, or tools to manage mailing lists, or tools to manage a direct store on D2D. None of those things. Sorry, Big Philly. But what is happening, unfortunately, is instead of adding something to the D2D family, we're going to take a little something away. And that is that this week, in fact, tomorrow, October 13th, is my final day as the director of marketing and PR for Draft to Digital. I'll actually be leaving and going on to do some of my own stuff. And a lot of that is, there's a lot of things I've got going. It's nothing I can talk about publicly just yet, but stay tuned. Within the next couple of weeks, I plan to be making some big announcements. I think it's going to be very exciting and very helpful for the author community. I do want to stress Draft to Digital. I have always loved, will always love Draft to Digital. I appreciate and I'm so grateful. I'm trying not to get teary-eyed here. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that Draft to Digital gave me in this business. The people it's helped me connect to, the community it's helped me serve. Serving the author community has been the one of the most positive things in my life. It's part of my mission. Always has been from day one. Since I learned of the existence of the author community, the writing community, this has been a dream of mine to be able to work closely with all of you and to help you grow in this business. I've never made a secret of the fact that, I've never had to work for Draft to Digital. I've always worked here because I wanted to. Book sales and other things that I have going on would have been plenty of money for me, plenty of things to keep me and my family fed. And so I stayed with Draft to Digital for the past 7 years because, one, it's an amazing company full of incredible people, all of whom I'm going to miss a great deal. But two, the dedication that Draft to Digital has to the writing community is unmatched. It is, I still say, I will always say, one of the, if not the best resource for indie authors, all authors at this point, with everything that they're doing, the growth that they've had in just the past 3 years alone. It's just an incredible place to work. It's an incredible opportunity for the authors. And I could not be more honored to have been a part of it. So thank you, all of you, for just making this a wonderful 7 years. I'm not gone. I may be leaving Draft to Digital, but I am not gone from the industry. And I actually intend to continue to represent Draft to Digital positively, probably for the rest of my life. But I'm also looking at what I can help build and potentially even partner with Draft to Digital, I'm hoping, on some things in the future. But so that's the big announcement. Sorry, it's a takeaway instead of an add-on. But I just want everyone knowing, everyone watching, everyone listening to know I care about you a great deal. I care about this business and about this dream that we all share. It's an honor to be a part of it. It's been an honor to be a part of Draft to Digital. And that's going to wrap us up for this episode of Self-Publishing Insiders with D2D. So now we're going to do the less emotional stuff. Make sure that you like, share, comment, subscribe. We're required by international YouTube law to say these things. And make sure that you bookmark d2dlive.com so that you know when live events like these are going to go out and come to educate you and enrich you. You get to meet amazing guests like Monica Leonelle and some of the others we have coming up. And if you want to stay in touch with me, you can find me. I'm on Twitter or X or whatever we're going to call it this week and next week as @KevinTumlinson. But if you search Kevin Tumlinson online, you're going to find me. I'm just that hard to get rid of. So thank you all again for making this an amazing 7 years for me. I hope that we get to see much more to come from Draft to Digital. God bless you all. And we'll see you. Well, some of us will see you next time.